Welcome to part 2 of my layout tour. In this video, I'm going to be talking about structures. And by structures, I mean buildings, not bridges. So when you hear me say that word, I'm talking about buildings. This part of my layout is the area that I consider my city. It's the peninsula and that part of benchwork over there. That is my city area. This part of my layout is all rural. There will be no buildings on that part of the layout. I have my cliffs here that divide the layout. So I have the cliffs where the track comes out toward the edge of the benchwork. Then I have the lift out section. And as I mentioned, this is all city. This is all rural. There will be no buildings on this side of the layout. Now on this part of the peninsula will be my main street up to the track. And these will be commercial buildings that will not be rail served. I'm going to have background buildings all along here. Most of those will be rail served. As I showed you in the 2600 air slide hopper video, I have a brewery that goes here. I have constructed a few structures. Some I'll use, some I might use, and some I won't use. But I'm going to go ahead and put all those out. I'll show them to you. These are some structures that I have built. Now the shop won't be used. I don't have a place for it, so it won't go on the layout. Now this plant 4 might get used. It could be one of the buildings that goes back here behind this track. Now this building I would like to use, it's 4 inches wide, and it's possible I can find a spot for it. I would like to find a spot for it. Now these two models here are Craftsman Kits, and I don't remember what brand they are. Now, this is a Texaco. Has an LED, has lights. All the buildings have lights. And you can see it's had better days, it's broken, so. But it could be glued back together. And here's a small restaurant. And it also has LEDs. And this light illuminates the eat. And actually the side open sign here has a micro LED in it, and so it lights up as well. And then there's 2 lights in the interior. I don't know if these are real lights or not. I don't think so. So I have those 2 buildings that it's possible I find a place for them on the layout, although I don't know where right now. Some structures that absolutely will be on the layout is right here. I have this freight station here, and another here, and then I have this oil dealer here. Now I have these buildings just set here. I don't know how it'll be configured exactly. And I think I have enough track here for 2 tank cars. And I have the doors opened on this building where I can have 2 50-foot box cars lined up in front of the building, and the doors on the box cars should line up with the open doors in the building. And these all have LED lights. You can see it's all wired up. And the same here. This is all, it's all wired up. And then I'll have to figure out the spacing between these 3 industries to get that all right. One thing that's a bit of an issue are these turnouts. These turnouts are kind of in a bad location. I'm considering pulling them out, but on the other hand, I mean, it doesn't hurt anything, just leave them in there. So I'll probably leave them there, but they're not really in a good location. I mentioned in the first layout tour video that I was going to do some work here, and I was going to bring this out, cut this down. Now the bench work here is also coming out. In order to use this small freight house, Sparky's electrical supply, I would need to bring the bench work out 3 inches, 3.5 inches. Now I could do that, and maybe I would still have enough aisle space. I would like to use this structure somewhere. So I'm thinking if I bring this out 4 inches here and then taper it into 2 inches here, I can still reach the track. And if it's 4 inches here, I can reach the track up here since it's a curve coming towards me. So I would like to use this little freight house if I can manage it. To support background structures on my peninsula, I cut a couple pieces of 1/8 inch plywood. Now the plywood's too tall now. Once I have all the structures in place, I'll mark the plywood out and cut it down to shape. But the structures will need something to mount up against to give them strength. And it may be that the height will be too much for me to reach over and operate this part of the layout. But I have to make a decision what I want to do, and I think having the diorama part of the layout to me is more important than operating it. And I should be able to operate this part of the layout even if I can't operate this part of the layout. I have a few additional Craftsman kits. I'm not sure if I can use any of these. I don't really have a place for them. So, I don't know what'll happen to those. I don't think I have a place that I can put any of those kits. Now this pile of DPM parts, I don't remember what this is from, whether I bought some bag of DPM parts or whether it was originally a kit. I have no idea. I don't even remember. It's been a long time. Now, one thing I like about a bunch of this stuff is I could probably build some one-story structures, and I might be able to build some one-story background buildings for use over on that part of the layout once I have that 2-inch extension for the bench work. I don't know. I just have no idea. I'll just kind of have to see how it all comes together. These are the background building kits I have. Now, with River City Textiles, you can see it has a water tower, and it is 11 inches tall. So this is one I would want to put on the end, right where it is right now, so I wouldn't have to reach over it. And it's a 4-story structure. And I think it'd look pretty cool with the water tower, but I wouldn't want to reach over it to try to uncouple cars. Now I have 2 commissary freights, and I think I want to join these 2 together to make one long structure. And these are 6 1/8 inches tall. So those aren't too bad. So they'd only be about, maybe this tall. And I think that would be manageable. And joining 2 together, it would be over 25 inches long. That would take up a lot of real estate. Now I have the Plant 4, which I may or may not use. I have Arrowhead Ale, and it is 4 5/8 tall, so it's short. So that's a good one for the center. And remember, this plywood backing here would be cut down to the height of the structure. So at 4 5/8 inches, that would be pretty easy to reach over. These 2 Armstrong electrics, I will join those 2 together to make one long industry. And I don't know how tall it is. It doesn't say on the front, but it's a 3-story building, so I don't think it would be real tall. And with a length of 16 5/8 inches, joining 2 of those together would be almost 3 feet long. So that would be a nice background structure. And here I have Centennial Mills, which is another 4-story building, and I'd want to have that on the end because it's going to be tall. And I have a couple spares in case for some reason those don't work out. I have 2 additional background buildings. Now this one is fireproof storage, 7 1/4 tall, and I have Imperial Foods, which is 7 1/2 tall. So they're a little on the taller side. In the Athearn Genesis 2600 air slide hopper video, I told you about this Milwaukee beer and ale kit. Now this is a full-size kit, it's not a background kit. And it will go in this area right here. And here I have another gas station, which could potentially go somewhere in this area right here. For my main street, I'm going to use Walther's Merchant Row. And here I have a nice corner building. And I have interior buildings, and another nice corner building. Now, all these structures put together are 42 inches long, which is going to fill up this area of the peninsula nicely. Now this area here is the road, so that's the street. And none of these will be rail served. So behind these buildings, there won't be any dock, and I'm hoping to have room for an alleyway. Just have to see how it all comes together. I'll need a way to get from the peninsula over to this side of the layout. What I'm going to use are these Rick's Products Highway Overpass kits. Now the way I'm going to mount those is I'm going to put the bridge or the street right up against the edge of this MDF. I'll have to cut the rail back and have it come up here. So the bridge will be about right here, and then we'll come this way over the canyon. And it'll come straight across, so it won't actually land over here. And the bridge will be here, and then I'll cut the bridge off at the same angle as the fascia. And then what I'll do is I'll pick the road back up over here. Have the road here, I'll have a crossing, and then I'll have the road go back behind these industries here. So those are my thoughts for now. It's pretty fluid, so it can change. But I am going to put the backdrop buildings there. And I am going to have my main street here. And everything else, we'll just see how it fits. Now, I don't have any plans to install structures anytime soon. I want to get all my groundwork done. I want to get all my rocks done. And I want to get my grass and trees done so I don't have to reach over any structures to install grass or insert trees into the terrain. So that stuff all has to be done before any structures go on the layout. And as you know, I mean, I got a lot of work ahead of me, but you got to have a little bit of a plan, and that's my plan. So I thank you for watching, and now you know everything I know about my layout. So I appreciate you following along, and thanks for your interest in my layout, and now you know where it's going. Thanks again for watching.